Hi, we're going to cover Azure Local plus SAN, and we're going to talk about how to discover the backing volume behind an individual volume that's exposed to Azure Local. So in fact, if I'm on my Azure Local node, like I am now, and if I type get cluster shared volume, you can see I've got a number of shared volumes. Now, of course, for most people, it's easier just to use Failover Cluster Manager, and you can actually launch this, connect to your Azure cluster, and look at your disks individual. Now, if I've got 3 CSVs hooked up and I care, let's say, about CSV number 2, I can actually go in here and type get cluster shared volume. Oh, wait. Cluster disk 2. And you can actually get information about that and pipe it to format list. So you can see that's actually C:\backslash cluster storage volume 2. Now, if I type get dash item and I put in that path, C:\backslash cluster storage volume 2, I can actually retrieve that information about that. Now, of course, that doesn't help me find the disk. So what I want to do is pipe this into get volume. Now that I've got the volume, that doesn't really help me either because I want to be able to find the disk below it. And of course, I can't pipe that directly to get disk because there's no link between volume and disk, but there is a link between a volume and a partition. And that has a link to the disk. Now, the logical thing to do would be look at the serial number. Unfortunately, the serial number does not point to an individual uniquely identifying item. It points to the serial number of the array that's hosting that volume. So what I want to do is take a look at what other information we might have. So this volume has a unique ID. This unique ID happens to match the worldwide name that's assigned to an individual volume on the array. So in fact, if I bring up my array, and again, this is outside on my management machine, if I connect up to my array using the HPE PowerShell toolkit, and if I say get-a9 volume, well, if I hit enter here, it's going to bring back a list of a lot of volumes, and I don't really know which one it is. However, what I can do is I can copy this value then run that same get volume command and pipe it and feed in that copied value to all the volumes .wwn. At this point, it should bring back only the volume that actually matches that cluster shared volume that's inside of that Windows Azure localhost. So we can see we can get all the information that we need about any individual volume directly from the PowerShell toolkit. And we can monitor things like thin provisioning. We can monitor things like compression rates. So again, you can map from one to one. Now, this should be one video in a series of videos where I talk about how to map different volumes to different hosts or different volumes to different Azure local clusters and how to automatically bring them online. This one's just really about how to identify those volumes. Thank you very much.